Okay, let's consider our next example. So in this example, we want to talk about car insurance company and the consumers. So if you run a car insurance company, again, you look at your consumers. There are some hidden information or hidden action that they possess, all right? So they may have something you don't know. They may do something that you cannot see. What are them? Well, again, there can be a lot. So you don't really see that what they want to do with their cars or the use of their cars. All right. You don't know that whether they are going to use the cars to do traveling or to do works and so on and so on. You don't know that their driving habits. All right. You don't know whether they are good drivers or bad drivers. Or you can also say that as some kind of skills. Skills and habits, of course, are different, but altogether, that's going to somehow define whether a driver is a safe one, is a good one, or bad one, and so on and so on. That's something that is important because that's going to have some impact on the probability of having some accident. But that's also something that cannot be easily observed. Maybe it's also not so easy to see the body condition or the healthy condition of this consumer, all right? So the healthy condition, and actually the car condition may also be not so easy to be observed. So these are all kinds of hidden information, and whether they take care of the car and how about the maintenance of the car is their hidden action, and their driving behavior, okay, is also hidden action. So you may see that sometimes you see that something are somewhat vague, may seems to be information or may seems to be action. For example, driving habit and driving behavior seems to be similar, right? So somehow we may be a careful driver or a careless driver. Maybe that's information, maybe that's action, right? That's possible. That's possible. So in practice, when you define something, it's not really important to really always do precise categorization. That's not easy. That may be impossible, and that's also not the most important thing. The important thing is that first we know how to do the categorization somehow, and then we find some way to deal with different kinds of information asymmetry. Okay, that's the idea. So whenever you know there are some kind of hidden information, then we think about screening, we think about signaling, we think about how to do something that someone cannot do, we think about how to offer multiple options for people to select from. That's hidden information situation. For hidden actions, again, we somehow try to link the incentive between theirs and ours. Okay, we want to do incentive alignment so that when they choose some behavior that is best for them, that's also best for us. That's the idea. So what are the typical ways to mitigate these sources of information asymmetry? Well, again, there are a lot. So for example, when people are trying to get a quote regarding the insurance premium, typically it is required to enter to say that roughly what's the mileage that you are going to use per month. Okay, that has something to do with the use of car. That may not be easily monitored, but that still can be verified. So that's something that you may ask the users to just report. Okay. Regarding body condition and the car condition, you may ask them to again submit some reports. It's not easy to check all the details, but still there are something that you may try to verify. That's fine. Regarding maintenance, you may ask them to again submit reports, and if they carefully maintain their cars, that's going to create some cost, right? So you're going to give them some discounts or lower the premium. Then lastly is about behavior and the skill. That may be the most difficult but also most important thing. So typically some companies will ask you to or will try to link to those accident database to see whether you get some tickets from the police officers or whether you get some points on your driver's license. Okay, If that's the case, then obviously let's have some information about your behavior, about your habit, about your skill, and if you get some points, you understand that you're going to get higher premium. Now that makes sense. But still, there are some more things that people may do. So today, there is a kind of insurance called pay how you drive. What does that mean? Typically in the past, what we do is that we try to categorize people according to their types. For example, that may be according to gender, according to age, according to your occupation, and so on and so on. So for example, for gender, typically, if all others are the same, typically boys need to pay higher premium than girls. Well, if you ask me why, I don't know why. Maybe it's because boys are careless driver, I don't know. But car insurance companies, they use their historical data. They show that for all others the same, boys are more easily to get into accidents for some reason, all right? So if that's the case, it makes sense that boys need to pay higher premium. Or age. If you are still young, 20 years old, 30 years old, then typically you pay higher premium than 40 years old or 50 years old. But if you get older, 60 or 70, you pay more again. Again, the company decides that because of the risk of those past records. But anyway, you know that's somehow unfair, right? You can be a boy that you always drive safely, but somehow you need to pay more. That's not make sense. Somehow you can be a young boy or you may be an old guy, but you still can be a good driver, right? So pay how you drive says that, well, that's forget about this label. That's just, if you permit, we're going to give you a device installed into your car so that we're going to look at your driving habits. The sensor is going to check whether you speed, whether you brake, whether you park easily, whether you maintain good position, how you stop, and so on and so on and so on. And all your behaviors would be put into a formula or into a machine learning algorithm to dictate your premiums. Okay? So basically the idea is the following. We're going to monitor your driving behavior, okay? We're going to do monitoring. And once we are able to do that monitoring, we're going to again get some information that will help us understand whether you are a good driver or bad driver, whether you are putting an eye on your driving or not, all right? And once we have that, we will be able to better prevent bad things and to create a better, a more accurate contract. Okay, so that's about pay how you drive. That's about one way for car insurance companies to deal with those agents. Okay, so the last thing I want to say is something you may feel that's something deeper. Suppose you are running a car insurance company, and suppose they are consumers. Okay. So previously we say we cannot see your driving habits, right? So let's say we want to do the monitoring. So we give you this option about installing a sensor into the car. Okay, that's fine. So at the same time, we also give you another option. It's the traditional contract, okay? In a traditional contract, it is that you provide your information about gender, your age, your occupation, your whatever, and then we calculate your premium accordingly. So you do have two options. As consumers, you do have two options. Now is the interesting part. Suppose we do offer these two options, and suppose drivers, they may be good drivers or bad drivers. Do you think it is good drivers that will choose the monitoring option, or it is the bad drivers that will choose the monitoring option? Well, I guess you would agree that if you are a good driver, you would tend to choose this monitoring option. If you are a bad driver, you would tend to avoid monitoring and you would tend to choose the traditional one. But if you think in this way, other people would also think in this way, and unfortunately, if you choose the traditional one, you are actually reveal your identity by saying that, well, I'm somehow a bad driver because I don't want to be monitored. Okay? So I'm not saying that this is going to happen just tomorrow, but this will happen eventually. Eventually, most of us would be willing to get monitored. Somehow, we're going to accept this. And then if you really choose to use the traditional one, then basically the company has a reason to consider you as a bad driver. Okay? And then that's again one way to screen consumers. All right? This good or bad driving thing is something that the consumer knows but the insurance company does not know. So by offering two options, you as a consumer, you reveal your true identity by making a selection. Again, that's screening. All right? So offering this monitoring technology is not just to do direct monitoring. It's useful, but also is providing you multiple options so that it has a screening effect. Okay, that's something we want to tell you in this particular case. Okay, so that was two cases regarding information asymmetry. Hopefully, they also get you more understanding about this particular subject. Thank you.